There's an old tale about a young boy who was unwell. It was Palm Sunday, and at the church service, the children waved palm branches. However, the boy stayed home with his mom. When his dad came back from church holding a palm branch, the little boy was curious and asked, "Dad, why do we wave palm branches on this day? And why is it called Palm Sunday?" His father explained, "When Jesus entered the town, people waved palm branches to honor him, which is why we had them at church today." The boy then said, "Oh man, the one Sunday I decide to stay home is the Sunday Jesus shows up." I am sure that Jesus will be with us today, but we might not welcome him with the same excitement that greeted him in Jerusalem 2000 years ago. The warm reception Jesus received back then was reminiscent of the triumphant and exuberant welcome that Indian cricketers received at the Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai after clinching the Cricket World Cup, with jubilant crowds embracing the celebrations with uncontainable joy and national pride. Even so, take a moment to imagine the thrill of such a celebration on a smaller scale in Jerusalem around 30 AD. Picture the joy and festivity all around. Jesus is coming to town. Some people say he is an amazing teacher. Others call him a great healer. And some believe he is the Messiah, here to lead the people against powerful Rome. In your mind, see that scene. Hear the joyful cries of Hosanna to the Son of David. Blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest heaven. If we allow our thoughts to drift beyond today, we may find our minds burdened by the somber and unsettling events of Holy Week. However, for now, let us revel in the victory and glorious anticipation that Palm Sunday represents. The authors of the 4 Gospels indulged in this brief moment of triumph as well. The story of Palm Sunday is one of the rare occurrences documented in all 4 Gospels. While details differ slightly, as they naturally do when based on eyewitness testimony, the core narrative remains consistent. As we envision this significant event, I invite you to concentrate on 3 aspects: the manner in which Jesus entered the holy city, the crowd's reaction to his arrival, and its significance for us today. First, observe how Jesus arrived. It was the time for the Passover, one of the 3 feasts that Jews were traditionally meant to attend in Jerusalem. Consequently, the city's population swelled significantly. Jesus, being a devout Jew, traveled to Jerusalem to celebrate the Passover with his disciples. In an unusual preparation, he instructed his disciples to borrow a young donkey that had never been ridden for him to ride into the city, also giving them a specific response to use if asked about taking the animal. The Lord needs it and will send it back shortly. It is interesting. Jesus and his followers had probably come by foot all the way from Galilee. Yet, for the final stretch, Jesus opted to ride a donkey. This action was to fulfill the prophecy in Zechariah chapter 9 verse 9. "Rejoice greatly, daughter Zion. Shout, daughter Jerusalem. See, your king comes to you, righteous and victorious, lowly and riding on a donkey, on a colt, the foal of a donkey." The disciples, trusting their master's directives, did as he had instructed and secured the donkey. In doing so, they demonstrated the essence of discipleship through obedience to Jesus' commands, as echoed in John chapter 14, verse 12. "If you love me, you will obey my commands." After borrowing the colt, the disciples placed their cloaks on it to serve as a saddle for Jesus' journey. Riding this humble donkey had symbolic significance. Jesus did not choose an elaborate chariot or an impressive horse. Instead, he rode a modest and unassuming donkey, an animal known for carrying burdens. This choice could be seen as a metaphor for the great burden he was about to bear, the sins of the world, culminating in his crucifixion. Meanwhile, across town, Pontius Pilate was entering Jerusalem on a horse, a symbol of power and war, contrasting with Jesus' symbol of peace and humility. In line with his teaching from Luke chapter 14 verse 11, those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. Jesus practiced what he preached. Reflect on the manner of his arrival. Secondly, notice how the crowd reacted as Jesus entered the city. According to Mark, many people laid their cloaks on the road and others spread branches out from the fields. Only John's Gospel specifically mentions these branches as palm leaves. In biblical times, people showed respect for victorious kings in this way. Many in the crowd were welcoming Jesus as a king, expecting him to overthrow the current rulers. However, they did not understand that his kingdom was not a worldly one. As Jesus rode in the city, the crowd sang, "Hosanna in the highest." Musicians and songwriters have captured the beauty of this day more effectively than any preacher could. For many people in the crowd, it was a moment of great admiration and excitement. This enthusiastic type of worship reminds us that people's attitudes can change quickly. The same people praising Jesus with Hosanna would soon be calling for his crucifixion. Not everyone who praises Jesus will stand by him when things get tough. They were celebrating now, but when it was time to choose between Jesus and Barabbas, people quickly forgot their cheers for Jesus as king. Even those close to Jesus struggled to stay loyal. One of his disciples denied knowing him, and another betrayed him with a kiss. Some people in the crowd were simply curious followers, joining in the excitement without fully understanding. A writer, Eric Hoffer, noted that when people are free to do as they wish, they often just copy each other. There is a story about a restaurant owner who used to follow the crowd mentality to help his struggling store. No customers were stopping, even though it was on a main road. He decided to park several used cars in front of it. People, thinking it must be a popular spot, started stopping by, and his business improved. The same happens with churches. Some people go to church because their friends are there. That's a good starting point. People attend church for various reasons, seeking God's guidance, looking for faith, or because their family expects it. If I asked why you are here today, what would you say? In Matthew chapter 16, verse 15 to 17, Jesus asked his disciples, "Who do you say that I am?" Simon Peter replied, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." Jesus did not want Peter and the other disciples to believe in him simply because he said so. He wanted them to experience him and come to believe on their own. If you are unsure about who Jesus is, this is a good place to explore. Spend time with Christ and see for yourself. Finally, let's talk about what Palm Sunday means for us today. Over 40 years ago, John Lennon from the Beatles made a big stir by saying that the Beatles were more popular than Jesus. Back then, it was clear their music wasn't about religious themes like praising Jesus. even though they had songs with spiritual undertones like Let It Be. Fast forward to now, Ringo Starr, the Beatles' former drummer, says he has found God after many ups and downs in his life. He went through tough times involving drugs and alcohol, but now he does not drink, smoke, or take drugs. He is turned to religion and believes God is important in his life. Ringo, now in his 70s, believes he is getting wiser as he ages. He spoke about finding himself and how God has always been part of his journey, even when he drifted away. I am glad Ringo has found clarity with age, but it's unfortunate that some people only realize there's a better way after struggling through bad times. The Bible tells us that one day everyone will acknowledge God as the ultimate ruler. Palm Sunday hints at this future event. The Bible's stories show that Jesus' entry into Jerusalem was a huge event, not just for those who were there, but also for Christians throughout history. Palm Sunday is celebrated to remember how important this moment was. May Jesus Christ be praised.